Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Transformers Studio Series Constructicon Hightower. As always, we'll take a quick look at the packaging, and then we're going to take an extremely detailed look at Hightower in both his robot mode, vehicle mode, and Devastator limb mode. Starting off with the packaging, we have a really cool piece of artwork of the character of Hightower. It states he's from the Studio Series and that he is Constructicon Hightower. The side of the packaging showcases the Devastator from Revenge of the Fallen, and the back of the packaging showcases the figure in his robot mode and vehicle mode, and he also includes a brief bio. Constructicon Hightower combines with his comrades to form Constructicon Devastator. And we also have some images of other figures in the assortment. The other side of the packaging has a closer up look at that piece of artwork and states that he's figure number 47. Taking a look at the instruction manual, there is a brief description that shows you how to combine both Hightower to scrap metal and the positioning that Hightower will actually take on Devastator once he is fully completed. As with all of the Constructicons, the backdrop that Hightower does come with is the Pyramid Desert Battle, where we see the Constructicons transform in the movie in order to combine to form Devastator. And here we have Hightower in his robot mode, much like he comes packaged. Now, Hightower was actually a concept design that didn't make it into Revenge of the Fallen, however was actually one of the limbs of Devastator, so this figure is semi-accurate. The robot mode of this particular figure is very abstract, but is very unique in design and definitely resembles what the majority of the Decepticons look like in the movie, that being very controversial and very insectoid-like. This particular figure looks mainly like a T-Rex, and the head sculpt has been designed magnificently. It is a really insectoid type of head design, and the paint applications have been applied really specifically. There is a bracket section on Hightower's chest, which to me looks as if though it's some kind of apparatus, and his small miniature T-Rex arms situate beneath this. There is a massive crane that holds the hook, and I guess this is what Hightower uses as his predominant weapon. His legs are also really interesting in design, with various hinges in order to make him fairly squat, and I really like how the treads compress into a kind of half square like shape, and it really does present for a very abstract looking design. The hinge section of Devastator's arm does just hang out on the butt section of Hightower. It does look fairly awkward sitting there, however it's not too distracting. In terms of articulation, there are multiple joints at the neck, and the figure also has a ball joint in the centre of his head. However, this only allows for movement left and right, so you really have to utilise the neck joint in order to get the figure in some different poses. There is also a second joint that you mainly use for Devastator's thumb, and this can be used in order to elongate the neck to allow for a different posing option. The head can also be compressed much like the concept art, so you really have two ways of displaying the figure. The arms are on hinge joints, however are not on ball joints, so cannot move out to the sides, and the legs can kick forwards and backwards at various hinges, as well as hinge out to the sides. The figure also has a 360 degrees where I guess his thigh section would be, and also a separate hinge where I guess the knee section would be, and two double hinges in order to elongate the legs or compress them. He also has a swivel at the ankle, so you can really get this particular figure in a variety of different poses depending on how you display the legs. The crane section can also be positioned via two joints. It is double jointed, so you do get a fair range of motion out of it, and the hook is just on a swivel joint, so it can swivel back and forth. Now, for some Constructicon Studio Series size comparisons, here is Hightower next to the rest of the Constructicons that we have so far. As you can see, I think that he personally looks great alongside some of these other figures, and seeing as he is a deluxe class, is considerably shorter than Rampage and Longhaul. We are halfway of the way there, and I really can't wait to complete Devastator, as these four figures are incredible. And for another Studio Series size comparison, here is Deluxe Class Hightower compared to Studio Series Deluxe Class Jazz. As you can see, he is ever so slightly taller than Jazz at the head. However, if you do count the crane, he is significantly taller than Jazz and completely towers over Voyager Class Ironhide. Personally, I do think that this figure is a good deluxe class scale, as from head to head, he is smaller than Voyager Ironhide and is only a smidge taller than deluxe class Jazz. Now, turning to the figure's transformation, it is fairly simplistic. First, you're going to want to collapse the T-Rex arms up upon themselves and proceed to rotate the back section of the arm all the way back, just like so. This will ultimately allow you to collapse down these crane sections, and you're going to want to hinge the crane section and hinge out those double joints in order for it to appear straight. What you're then going to want to do is lift this small black tab that is situated just behind Hightower's head and rotate this all the way back. This will then allow you to fully compress the head of Hightower, which will then allow you to begin work on the legs. What you're going to want to do here is kick the legs outwards and then snap these panels backwards, as you're now going to begin collapsing the panels in order to form the sides of Hightower's vehicle mode. Once this is done, there will be two tabs that are apparent, which will plug into a center slot. As you can see, you're going to want to rotate the thigh section around so that the tabs are facing the slot, and this is essentially a matter of positioning, so you're just going to want to align them and snap them into place on both sides. You're going to want to rinse and repeat this exact same process for the opposite side, and once that is tabbed in, you can now proceed to fold out the tyres and treads and allow them to be fully aligned as they will appear in vehicle mode. Once this is done, you can now fully rotate them around, and this will expose a small tab section that you're actually going to want to plug this into. So just support that section into place, ensuring that everything is aligned appropriately. Once this is done, you're going to want to come to the underside of the figure, and you're going to want to plug the tread into the joints just like so. So snap that into place and repeat the exact same process on the opposite side. So align that main tab section up with the torso and collapse the tread onto a second hinge on the hinge joint. Once this is done, we can flip the T-Rex arms under, and this section here you're going to want to rotate all the way backwards and hinge the ratchet joint. These slots and tabs are going to want to align, so you're going to ever so slightly pry open this section here, which will allow you to slide the majority of the back end in and then clip all those sections into place. And once they are all fully attached, there we have Hightower in his construction vehicle alt mode. Now, taking a look at Hightower in his alternate form, personally I do think that this particular vehicle is very similar to that of SCRAPMETAL, other than the fact that instead of a scoop we now have a crane. This particular vehicle definitely looks like one of the vehicles we see before Devastator is combined, and definitely suits really well with the other Constructicons. I really like the hexagonal design of the crane, and the underside of the figure tidies up really nicely. The crane is hinged at 2 points, however in this mode you're only going to want to utilise one, and the crane section can hinge back and forth. The figure can also roll fairly smoothly, and this is achieved by 4 rolling caster wheels on the base of the figure, which have no obstructions whatsoever. For a Studio Series size comparison, here is Hightower compared to SCRAPMETAL. The reasoning behind why I've decided to compare these figures is the fact that they're very similar in terms of design and are both Deluxe class Constructicons, and they are actually the 2 limbs that will actually combine in order to form the hand and upper arm of Devastator. Personally, I think here that the scale works reasonably well. They are obviously not a one-to-one scale, however, as they are supposed to scale in all 3 modes, I can kind of understand why Hasbro had to skimp out on scaling accuracy for the vehicle modes. Personally, I think they look really nice next to each other, and you definitely won't see me complaining about the size of their vehicle modes, as they're both really good Deluxe scales. Now, turning to what is the main event for me, here is the transformation from vehicle mode into Devastator's hand. First, you're going to want to remove the crane section and proceed to relocate the treads in brand new positionings. They move just ever so slightly up, however this will ultimately help aid clearance when you attach SCRAPMETAL to Hightower. Just unhinge the tab and relocate it into its new section just like so. What you're then going to want to do is take the head section and hinge it out on all of its joints, fully extending it all the way down. Fold the head back just like so. We can then ratchet this joint all the way upwards, as this is ultimately going to connect onto Scavenger. Hinge the crane sections back now, and you are ready to combine the hook section onto the head. This will form the thumb of Devastator, and personally I wish that they could have perhaps hidden the head, but nevertheless here we have Hightower in his limb mode for Studio Series Devastator. Personally, it definitely doesn't look very fancy right now, however when you eventually actually connect all of these limbs together, I really think he'll complete the look. Taking Deluxe class SCRAPMETAL in his Devastator form, here we can attach this tab that will plug into the black slot on Hightower. You're going to want to align these appropriately and snap them into place, securing the connection, and there we have a completed hand of Devastator. Personally, I actually think this looks really good, and it really gives you a sense of scale of how big the figure will actually be. Right now it does look like a mess, however when it is in its correct positioning, when it is attached to Scavenger and the rest of the Constructicons, I think it's going to look really well, and I really like how the fingers of SCRAPMETAL come to form with the thumb of Hightower, and I like how the 2 sections merge. The only downside I have about this is I wish the plastic was a colour match, as the SCRAPMETAL is definitely a lighter shade of yellow than the really vibrant yellow that is seen on Hightower. Nevertheless, this is a really awesome combined form, and it just makes me even anticipate the rest of the Constructicons even more than I already do so. Now, turning to a complaint that I have with this particular combine mode is actually to do with the ratcheting joint that will help to combine Scavenger to Hightower. As you can see here, the ratchet appears really sturdy, however with both of these Deluxe combined, the ratchet joint just keeps flopping down and cannot hold its positioning at all, which makes me believe that this is definitely going to be a problem when we combine all of the Constructicons. That is my review on the Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Hightower. Personally, I think that it's another great entry into the Studio Series line. It's definitely a very abstract looking Decepticon and will look really well with your other Constructicon figures. Both robot mode and vehicle mode look really decent, and I really like how simplistic but how effective the transformation is. The limb mode, whilst fairly basic, definitely looks awesome when connected to SCRAPMETAL, however the loose ratcheting joint definitely does worry me for the future of the Constructicons and how they're all going to hold up when combined. I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below. And until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.